Ms. James, good morning. Ms. James, you're here because you've been accused of 3 charges. You've been accused of 1 count of introduction of contraband into a state correctional facility, and I believe that particular charge is a second-degree felony because of the type of alleged contraband. 1 count of possession of cannabis with intent to distribute, that would be a third-degree felony, and 1 count of trafficking in a controlled substance, methamphetamine, that is a first-degree felony. I think it's a first-degree punishable by life. I'm not sure if it's a regular first-degree. It certainly has a minimum mandatory sentence if you're convicted of that. So that's a very, very serious charge that you're facing. That last one is especially serious. There is probable cause for those charges, ma'am. I looked at those charges. I've also looked at your criminal history and the complaint. So I'm aware of your criminal history, which is not horrible, but certainly not good. And let me see if the attorneys have any additional information before I address your bond status. Mr. McDaniel, anything?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mr. Mitchell?
Your Honor, that trafficking charge, it has a minimum mandatory of 7 years and a max of 30 years. It's over 200 when it becomes a life felony at that point. The state is intending on filing a nebia motion today sometime and getting it over to the circuit court. We would just request also that she be subject to random UAs and take into account all those factors when giving your bond.
Okay. So, Mr. McDaniel, I haven't seen a nebia motion in a few years, probably. A nebia motion is where the state's asking for the source of the bond prior to you being allowed to post bond, Ms. James. That means that they have the right in certain situations to ask, where's this money coming from? To make sure it's not the product of drug results, or drug sales, or some other illegal income. So I think the proper procedure in those cases is for me to set you a bond, and that way you can go ahead and start gathering the funds, but you can't actually post it until the state has a right to be heard. You're going to be filing that motion today?
Yes, once I get a case number, I will officially file it.
So, Ms. James, I'm going to set your bond based upon the amount of methamphetamine allegedly discovered on your person, the amount of $50,000 on the trafficking, $15,000 on the contraband, and $5,000 on the cannabis felony charge. That's a total bond of $70,000. You do have a condition, no contact with any Department of Florida Corrections property. However, don't try to post that bond because the state, as I said, has the right to a nebia motion. So you can go ahead and contact friends and family and tell them what the bond is and start the process. But the state does have the right to know the source of the funds before you're allowed to post the bonds. Mr. Mitchell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the jail to bring her back to first appearance tomorrow. The motion should be filed. That'll give both Mr. McDaniel and yourself a chance to look at the nebia hearing requirements, and we can set it before Judge Garcia in the next couple of days. Matter of fact, if you wish to go ahead and set it for Judge Garcia, that's fine too.
Okay.
So, Mr. McDaniel, I don't know best practices on that kind of motion. I don't ever see those, but I want to get her in front of Judge Garcia as soon as she can to be heard on the source of these bond funds. But I also want to go ahead and set her a bond so she can start the process of coming up with the funds if she wishes to.
Your Honor, if I may, I know I did a couple of these nebia hearings over in Bay County, and of course it's different between the two counties, but normally over there, we would actually have the nebia hearing take place at first appearances, in which the first appearance judge would actually hear and make the determination on whether or not, it's granted or denied.
I don't have a problem necessarily hearing it. I just want to make sure Judge Garcia is okay with that.
Okay.
So if y'all run it by Judge Garcia, I'm fine with hearing it at first appearance tomorrow. So, ma'am, I'll see you tomorrow at first appearance, and we'll know more about where things stand. Mr. McDaniel, anything else in this case?
Well, it's just a big assumption that she's gonna have the money tomorrow and know where the money comes from, I guess. And I don't know when that's one of those things that this is one of those motions that, she's got to come up with the money first and figure out where it come from.
Okay. So do you want to, why don't we do this? If you'll speak with her in the morning, if she wants to be heard tomorrow, we'll gladly do that. If not, she'll have at least a chance to make some phone calls. And if it's the next week before she can post it and she wants the hearing then, we can do it that way. So we'll see her tomorrow morning if you want us to, Mr. McDaniel, after you speak with her.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll bring her back tomorrow and I'll see what she comes up with. If she has the money or people that's going to pay it for, family or something.
Still need it filed today, Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, I will. And is she also subject to random UAs?
Yes, as part of the bond, you do have a condition of random urinalysis because it's a drug offense. Ms. James, I know that's probably confusing to you, but do you have any questions, ma'am?
No, it's not that. It's just that I was just trying to figure out if I can get a reasonable due to my job situation, and I have a sick child at home, so that's my issue.
Yeah. You're entitled to a reasonable bond, and I've set your reasonable bond based upon your allegedly attempting to take 107.9 grams of methamphetamine into the prison system. So that's a very reasonable bond for that charge. We'll see you tomorrow, ma'am. So Dwayne Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, good morning. Mr. Lawrence, you're here because you've been accused of one count of third-degree felony petty theft. Mr. Lawrence, I read the complaint. There is probable cause for that charge. I've also looked at your criminal history, which is very lengthy. I think you're entitled to a bond, though, today, Mr. Lawrence. I'm going to set you one. Let me see if the attorneys have any additional information before I set that bond. Mr. McDaniel, anything?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mitchell?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lawrence, based upon your criminal history, I'm going to set your bond at $10,000 cash or surety. Cash or surety, Mr. Lawrence, as you may know, means you don't have to come up with all the money. You can go through a bondsman. Mr. Lawrence, you'll get to use the phone in just a few minutes to try to post the bond. You do have a condition, no contact with any Dollar General. So if you post the bond, you can't go back to any Dollar General while this case is pending. Mr. Lawrence, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Wish you the best, sir.